It's a pretty well-known fact that these days video games are getting easier. There are more cutscenes, more waypoints, and more crutches built into the game. While these games often include a hard mode, it doesn't really count for much when you have control over the difficulty. If you're getting frustrated, most developers offer a way to reduce the difficulty so that you don't stop playing their game. However, while this video is related to difficulty and the casualization of gaming, that's not what it's about. This is about an aspect of game design that I enjoy in games, but I don't really see it in many. I don't know if it has a better name, but here's what I'm calling it. Implicit game design. It's when a game doesn't tell you how to complete an objective. Hell, it may even not tell you what the objective is. It's when a central game mechanic is hidden, but still in effect. It's implicit, it's cryptic, and it's actually part of the game to puzzle it out. Now, in case you still don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, here's an example. Lately I've been playing a game called Starseed Pilgrim. Here's some footage from where I'm currently at in the game. Chances are you won't be able to make heads or tails of what's going on. It probably all looks random to you, but in the game right now I'm thinking rapidly and thinking about the consequence of every move. I've actually just made a major screw up here, but it's impossible for you to know that. And that's what it was like for me at the start of the game. When you're dropped into the game, you're given instructions on how to move and how to dig. That's it. That's all you'll ever get in regards to explicit instructions. What's your objective? You don't know. How do I get there? You don't know that either. But that's part of the intrigue. When asked for help with the game, the developer mentioned this: "If you still have questions, keep going." That's a quote that's at the center of this game, and I feel like that's an aspect of game design that's left out these days. In AAA titles, you always have a section of your screen devoted to a waypoint, telling you exactly where to go and exactly how far you've got till you get there. Not only does this break immersion a little, but it ruins the need for you to think critically about where to go, what's happening around you, and how to get there. I like the games where you're dropped into a world and find your own way, through intuition and pushing your boundaries to see what works. And this doesn't apply just to waypoints. It applies to all gameplay. Give me the basics of gameplay and let me figure out where to go and how to get there. Don't make the game a giant tutorial with text all over the screen. Teach me how to play through the gameplay. And Dark Souls does this pretty well with its boss design. For example, the first encounter with the Asylum Demon teaches you to observe your environment. The second encounter teaches plunging attacks, and the second boss incorporates both those things, with an optional environmental plunging attack that a lot of players probably miss. You also learn that you can block giant hammers. Gargoyles teach weaknesses, Quelag teaches you to watch the boss carefully for moveset cues, Four Kings teach you how to cope with depression, and Gwyn rewards you for learning parrying. In my opinion, this is the best way to teach someone how to play. You feel like you've legitimately become a better player at the end of the game. Now, I'm not saying all games should be designed like this, but I also feel like publishers might be afraid of this sort of game design. There are a lot of people who hate Dark Souls because of it, and many people gave up on that game in the first few hours because they're used to being spoon-fed. With more and more AAA titles developed with press X to win gameplay, I feel like publishers fear being on the other side of that spectrum. They'd rather appeal to everyone, rather than scare away the casuals with a game that isn't necessarily hard, but one that doesn't tell you where to go. At the end of the day, publishers like NAMCO BANDAI want to bring Dark Souls to a wider audience, which is something we all want. But I get worried when they mention making the game more accessible. I agree that Dark Souls could definitely be more accessible in the first few hours of play. It's a shame so many people missed out on the game because they got destroyed from the very start. I also think that the lore could be more accessible on the surface, as long as it retains its depth. Give me an obvious, shallow story for my first playthrough, with a really deep subplot that exists for those who look for it. Give me an extended tutorial that teaches me the core gameplay better, as long as it leads towards the same relentless and rewarding difficulty. The most important thing is having a game that rewards you for being intuitive and resourceful, and that's what I expect from Dark Souls 2.